Okay, so what we're doing today is we're going to take our calligraphic block, what we did last week. By now it has fully dried, so we're going to do a print off of this calligraphic block today. And what that entails is that we would need a few materials. First, we would need our block. The block that we did last week, it should have dried by now. As you can see, the glue has dried and the objects are held down firmly. Secondly, we would need paint, and I would encourage you to go for your acrylic or poster paint. I have a canister here. You would need about 3 colors. For this print, we're going to use one color, so I think I shall go with I will go with red. All right, so one color paint. You need a paintbrush, a soft paintbrush. It could be flat or round. Once it's soft, and this is a number 10, you could go for a medium size paintbrush, let's say a 8 to 12, anyone in between those. Optional, a spoon. A spoon might be good for rubbing, but we'll also use the palm of our hand to rub as well. So that is optional. You could have a spoon with you. And paper. Lastly, we need some paper. This is irregular, standard size 8.5 by 14 copy paper. This is what we'll be printing our design on. I have here about 9 sheets of paper. If you have your sketch pad and you want to take out a page from it, a page or two, you could use that paper as well. But you would need today 3 pages, specifically 3 pages or more. Okay, so we're going to start with our block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something called a registration paper. Now the registration paper is something that helps with printing. It allows us to know where the block is going to be printed. So I have taken a blank piece of paper and I am putting my block on the paper exactly where I want it to be on the paper, and I'm going to draw on that paper a square around the block, exactly where the block is placed. I'm placing a square around it. And now if I remove the block, that square will show me where the block was. Okay, and we could write to the top here, registration paper. This paper is very important, and in a little while I'll show you why. It's for us to be able to place our block exactly on the spot every time when we're printing, right? So that's definitely important. One of the things you can do with this block is that with this paper is that you can tape it down, because this paper doesn't need to move. So I'm just going to put some tape here just to hold this paper down. Notice I'm also on a clean surface. I'm in a clean area, my workspace. Right? So the other papers that I have to work with are exactly the same size as this paper. And I'll show you why we have created this registration paper. So I'm not going to put paint on my block in this place. I'm going to move to a separate place close by, and I'm going to put the paint on my block here. So I have my block, and I'm going to paint my block in red. Now these next steps need to be done a little bit quickly, because if you leave it for too long, your paint will dry and your print wouldn't come out as well as you expected. So we're going to move fast. I'm going to use the red paint, and I'm going to take my brush, dip it in the red paint, and I'm going to paint the areas that are raised on the block. Now I don't need to paint the entire block. I could paint just the raised areas. I'm passing it over the block. It's okay if you get on the cardboard as well. What you mainly want to paint are all the raised areas. So the things that you used last week, the things that you stuck down, you want to paint those things. And it's okay if you get paint on the back, on the cardboard itself too. Right, so I'm taking paint. Notice I'm not getting any paint on my hand. I'm gonna try not to get paint on your hand. Right? I'm painting in between the forks because forks are a little tricky. I'm making sure almost the sticks that I stuck down have paint as well. Right? I'm just making sure this lacing has paint here. All around as well. Right? So I think that's a good amount of paint there. I've covered almost everything on the block. Right? And now I placed my brush. I could leave my brush in there, I guess. And let's move back to my registration paper where I have drawn out the shape of the block. And I place my block exactly in that space. And now we come to a part of the process called registering the block, where I'm going to take my paper, a clean blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to line it up exactly with the corners of this page. So let me show you the corners. I'm going to line up the top of it here. I'm going to line up the other top here. And then I'm going to gently lower it down onto my block. Right, so right now this paper is resting on top of the paint and the block that we have created. And now I'm using the palm of my hand to press the block onto the paper. Right, so you could already see it starting to print out onto the paper. You could see it through the block. You'd sometimes, if you notice that you had some sharp objects, you want to not press too hard, right? You don't want your paper to rip. So that is it there. I feel as though I've gotten everything on my print. So now I'm gonna raise it up. Take a look. And that is my print over there. Let me show you it quickly. I'll move this block. And I'll show you what I came out with. This is what I came out with. That's my print. So I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try printing it one more time to show you the process. I'm going to move to my printing area, the place where I'm gonna put paint. My inking area, we could call it inking area. I'm gonna put my paint, or in this case ink. I'm gonna put my ink, or in this case paint, onto my block again. So I think I've covered everything there. I'm going to move that block back across to my registration area, my registration paper. Nice straight. Now I'm going to line up my clean paper to the top of this page, corner to corner on this side and corner to corner on that side, and then I simply drop my paper onto the block. Right, so the paper is resting on the block. Now I go to press a little bit. Now you notice this one you're not seeing the print through because I did something a little tricky. I put 2 pieces of paper. Just so that I don't put too much pressure on this page. The page, when you press on this, it seems like it wants to burst. So I'm putting on a second page just to make sure that it's not going to burst. This would help it from prevent it from bursting. Right, so I'm using the palm of my hand, getting in all the areas, getting the string, getting the matches, getting the corners. Right, and now I can remove this paper, see what was printed. Right, so if you look at my print over there, you would notice I got 2 prints looking almost exactly the same in one color. Let's just do one more to be safe. Right, so I'm gonna go across to my inking area, or in this case the painting area. Right, moving my block up here because I don't want paint getting on this paper, so I carry it up there, and I'm going to ink or paint my block. I've inked the block, getting the ink on all the little objects. So I'm going to carry this back onto my registration paper, line it up in the box. Now I'm going to take my blank paper and place it lining up with the corners of my registration paper, this corner and the other corner. And now I drop the paper. It is flat onto my block. I use my palm to press the paper onto the block. And make sure to feel the objects that you've put down. You have to be sure not to shift this paper at any point in time, because that would ruin the print. That would ruin what comes out. So you have to keep it one place and gently place your palm down onto the block and the page. So I'm going to take off this paper, see what I did. Right, looks like I got almost everything, and just as I'm seeing the page getting weak in certain areas, I know I don't want to press there anymore, so I stop. I'm gonna pull off this now, and there it is. I've gotten my true prints. They look almost identical, right? And that is printing in one color 3 times. In the next video, we're gonna print in multiple colors. We will try printing on top of this in another color. We'll try it out in a different color. So what we have to do is leave these to dry. Because they are acrylic poster paints, so I might leave them for about a half an hour or hour to dry. Okay, so I'll see you all in the next video.